Alright everyone, in this tutorial I want to show you how you install React Native Maps inside of Android. You would maybe think it's pretty straightforward, but it can take a little while. There's a bit of some hoops you need to jump over to get this working. So let's get straight into it and I'll show you how you get started. Package we're going to install is called React Native Maps, which is developed by Airbnb, I believe. And the first thing we need to do is you need to install the React Native Maps package. So go ahead and do that. That is the most straightforward thing so far. So if you haven't already, go ahead and type npm I React Native Maps /save to install the package. Now, if you're on iOS, well, it's your lucky day because apparently, according to this documentation, you should be able to use it, React Native Maps, as long as you just type React Native link, React Native Maps. But it seems like if we are on Android, well, you need to do some more work, apparently. But we could try and just write React Native link and see what happens. So there we go. So it actually says down here that we're linking some Android dependencies and the Android module. And if I go inside and see my changes, I can see that, well, there has been some React Native Maps added inside of my settings Gradle, my build Gradle, and inside of my main application.java. So, and that's pretty much the same instructions they give inside of the documentation, right? So let's see if that works then. Okay, so I guess the lesson here is to not use React Native link, but to follow the instructions to install it manually. And don't worry, I will show you how we do that now. But first thing you need to do is you need to get the the Google Maps API key, which you go inside of the link here for the link with Android SDK. Go ahead and click that. So just go follow that link. And well, they also have a reminder here saying you need to enable billing to use it. I believe that as long as you're using it for small requests, then it's free to use. But look it up yourself so you don't get big bills. But I believe it's free for small use. So anyway, you can just go ahead, press the get started, and it's, well, pretty straightforward. Just click through all of them. I will do that and select a project. Just create a new project. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys how you do it anyway. So you just select a new project, create a new project. You can call it something, and then you select next, and basically your API key is set up already like that. I already have one API key set up, so I don't want to create a new one, so I'm not gonna go all the way through that. But you should be able to figure it out, guys. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, everyone. So what I would recommend you is to not use the React Native link because that just doesn't work for me. So React Native link is only for if you're on the iOS version. If you're on Android, you need to do it manually. That's what I seem to be able to get working for me. So let's get on to that. So we go into the build configuration for on Android and follow that. So we need to, I think that I would recommend that you go inside of Android Studio and actually do this because you're going to be able to see if you're entering in something wrong. You get a little more help in Android Studio since you're doing the real Android native code part and compared to using Visual Studio Code. So I would just recommend for this part that we go inside Android Studio. Okay guys, so I opened the folder for Android inside from my React Native project. I just opened the Android folder inside of Android Studio. And now we're getting to the editing code part of it. So we go inside Android settings.cradle. Let's see if I can actually find it. So I click on the Android and go inside settings.cradle. And I add these two lines here to the bottom, like that. That's inside the settings cradle in the root folder. And then I need to add React Native Maps as a dependency in the Android app build cradle. So that is Android app. And why is it not showing the cradle files? In here, so Android app build cradle, and we go and add that implementation project React Native Maps, yes. And then we need to, I really didn't understand this part so much. If you define project-wide properties, I don't know if I define project-wide properties because I just use React Native init, and I think the majority of people don't really know what that is about. But what I found is I just went with this. I just basically made sure that I had these two lines inside of ext in my build cradle file, in your root build cradle file. So that's Android build cradle. And here we have the ext section, and we just put in these two lines. I think that should be what we need. Now let's see. So we press sync now, and that should be able to show us if there's any errors about the build. So build running, and it seems to be building fine, building well. And we also need to make sure we have the Android manifest file with the section for our API key. And Android manifest is inside Android app source Android manifest. Okay. So then we go and add this metadata element in the bottom here inside the application element, and we just paste in the API key that you created in the Google Maps API. And now once you added the API key, then I just like to go ahead and say rebuild project inside of build. So we check if the project can actually build. Oh, and also I need to add the maps package inside of my main activity.java file. And that main activity file, I believe, is inside app Java and then main application here, or main activity it was, wasn't it? No, it was main application, sorry. And yeah, so we just copy the import statement here, put it in random place and up with the other imports, and we copy this override and we put that inside here and just override this function here. So we get the new maps package line basically. And yeah, since I am a bit OCD or something, I just like to rebuild and build it again to see if the project can run or build. And once I can see that it's actually building inside of Android Studio. I'm going to go ahead inside of Visual Studio Code and try to run the project inside, and we can see if we get maps coming up. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and, well, I like to, let's see, I'm going to go just to the main GitHub page and just use the code they have here to get my map view in it, in the React Native code. Okay, so inside my app.js file, the main.js file, I'm just gonna go ahead and import this map view import, and then I will render the map view with an initial region, as they say. And I will also say, let me see if anything actually comes up or if I need to style it. So let's run the app. Okay, so it looks like it's totally blank, and I think that's because I need some style in here. So I'll write map style, and then I'll put map style here, set the flex to 1, and yeah, I think that should be enough actually. Can't find variable map style. It's because I need to use styles.map style. Yeah. Okay. There we go, people. The map is up and it's beautiful. It starts out in San Francisco, of course, but you can put in any other initial regions that you wish to use. Okay, everyone, so if you one more thing, if you get a blank map sort of like this with just a Google down below, check if your API key is working. Try to make a new API key inside of Google Maps. That's what I did. I just went ahead, made a new API key, tried to use that instead again, and suddenly it worked for me. I mean, maybe shut down the app, do a cradle clean, I don't know. Try and run the app again if you get something like this. Try to make a new API key. That's what worked for me. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this tutorial. I'll see you next time.